Hey everybody, so today's going to be a Codewars challenge, and if you haven't checked out this platform, I definitely recommend it. It is super useful. I try to use Codewars at night if I don't have a lot of time. I'll quickly do an easy challenge, which is what we're going to do today. It's a 7 Caillou. The way that they work is like from 8 to 1, 8 being the easiest, 1 being the hardest. And so today we're going to do a 7. And if you want to join, I think it's called Clan. If you want to join my clan as an ally, then check out the BIM coordinator. You should be able to find me on here. So check that out if you want to join. I definitely recommend this platform if you're trying to learn to code. There's a lot of cool challenges, but you can also learn from the solutions from others as well, because they have this thing where people vote for it, that if it's clever or if it's a best practice, because sometimes clever doesn't mean that it's the best practice or what you would see in the real world. I don't think of myself as a developer anyways. I'm typically creating applications for myself. Sometimes I co-create stuff, but typically I'm making things for myself. I try to do things by the PEP 8 or the Python PEP 8 standard, but with that said, I'm not a developer, and a lot of this is for fun or to make my job a lot easier. So to get into it, we've got this isogram challenge, and the way that these isogram works is that no letter can be the same to qualify it as a isogram. So in this case, this is true. It ignores casing. So down here, this is false because we have A twice, and then down here, we can see that it's also false, and then it's just over here highlighting to ignore casing. So I will do challenges inside of Codewars sometimes, depending on the challenge. This one may be a good example to use in Codewars, but I want to jump over to Jupyter Notebook because I think it's a really powerful tool worth sharing. And if you're not familiar with the Anaconda distribution, I recommend downloading that because that'll get you set up with Jupyter Notebooks. It'll get you set up with Python, and then it has its own little Anaconda environment where you can set up virtual environments and manage all that stuff. So that's kind of convenient as well. And there's a few other things. I think it even has its own IDE that it comes with. I think it's called Spider. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff that tool has. But Jupyter Notebooks is incredibly powerful, and I think really powerful for people in AEC. It's really visual, it's really easy, and you can create really cool documentation out of it as well and share it with others, so there's that side of it. But to get into it, what I do is I'll open up Jupyter Notebooks, and I will copy over the function, because that's what I'm going to end up pasting back into the challenge. And then for this, I'll just copy out one of these examples. We know this is going to be true, and then for this one I'm going to make this string variable. Okay, so that's string, and then so this is the idea behind this is to show you kind of my thought process of solving these issues or problems. In this case, I think this example, we don't need to jump into Stack Overflow or Google or anything. I think this is a pretty straightforward problem. For others, this may be pretty new to you, so hopefully this is insightful. But I know with a string, we can create a set from a string, and that set, the way that sets work are they're unordered lists, and unordered means that it's ordered alphabetically. It's kind of weird, but it just means it's not keeping the order that's already determined. So if we turn this string into a list, it would keep the order so that we could join the string back together, and it would create the same word or same string it was before. Whereas if we turn it into a set, it would get rid of the duplicate values, but it would also reorder the list so that if we did join it, it would be just all sorts of messed up. And I'll show you a visual of that. But before I do, the reason why I think sets would work in this example is if we're trying to figure out, what letters or what strings have multiple letters or not, then by turning into a set, we can then measure the length of that set and then measure the length of the string and then compare those two, and then the output of that would be our return or our answer to the code wars. So anyways, so first we need to make sure the string is a little lowercase, so we'll just do that, or uppercase, doesn't really matter. And then we'll turn this into a set, and then you can see here that the set is now out of order. So it's in alphabetical order, but it's out of order in context to the string itself. You can see like D isn't the first thing anymore, and then so on for the rest of the letters. So that's what that means when it says it's unordered. So now what we can do is check the length. You can see that that's 15, and then we can check the length of string, and that's 15. So, and again, this is the way that I think is the way to solve this problem. There could be other ways to solve this problem, so keep that in mind. You can come up with a much better way. Maybe there's a way to use list comprehensions or something else to solve this issue. So this is just one way of doing it. So here what we can do is do equal to length of string. We can see that that's true. And then this should come out as false. So perfect. And then one other test. Perfect. So, and I think that's all we have to do for this. So what we can do is actually take this, come up here, paste that in. Since it's a function, we'll have to return this as the value. And that's it. I think that's all we have to do for this challenge. So if we jump back into training, paste that in there, and then we can come down here and click test. What's cool about this, or cool about tests, is if you can run these as many times as you want without any issues, or without it tracking any of that stuff. But as soon as you click on attempt, it will start to track all that. So just a heads up on that. I like to keep the attempts pretty low. So, but sometimes you may test it and may pass, but that doesn't mean it's going to pass all the tests. There may be other examples that it's breaking on, and it only shows you where it failed, but it doesn't show you the reason it failed. So keep that in mind when you're working on these. So now if we click, not test, but if I click attempt, we'll see that we passed all of them, and click submit. And then that's gonna submit that. And then I want to show you guys real quick the solutions. So this tool is really helpful for me to just build my Python skills. And there's some other languages I want to start to dive into, and I'm going to use this tool to help with that. But there's a difference between like clever code and best practices, and they have a voting system to try to distinguish those two. Because you'll hear sometimes that Codewars, like you'll be dealing with these challenges, but sometimes the solution isn't something you would see in a developer environment. So just a heads up on that. Again, I'm not a developer. I do this for fun and to build my skills and to help me with things that I deal with on a daily. But I just want to point that out. If you do want to become a developer, Just keep that in mind. Comedy, for Python, there's the PEP 8, which covers like format, formatting, commenting, and stuff like that. For when you're working in developer environments. I think that even helps if you're working on projects yourself. But just a heads up that there's a difference between like best practices and clever code, because sometimes clever code is sometimes like really complicated, or and isn't so straightforward. So it could be difficult in a developer environment when you're working with a variety of other people. So that's what I got for this challenge. I'll do some future challenges at some point, and maybe do some lower Caillou ones. And so today was a 7, and maybe I'll do some lower ones in the future. So, anyways, also if you want to join my account as an ally, check out the BIM coordinator. I've already got 3, which is super cool. And you can see some of the stats. I think these are fun to track when you start to do a bunch of these. You can see how you're building your skills. You can see your different rankings for your different languages, and then you can see like your best practices and your clever solutions. So that's pretty cool. And then just how many days in a row have you done, and so on. So, anyways. Yeah, so thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next videos. Thanks.